Welcome back to Julie's Village. I'm glad you're here. Today I have an important update. In addition to doing these videos, which provide general information and strategy ideas, I also provide support for families in helping them to apply these strategies to their specific situation. If this is something that you would like more information about, or you would like to be added to my wait list, you can email me at juliesvillage@gmail.com. Julie's does not have an apostrophe. And now on to today's episode. Our topic for this episode is the third category under which a child can qualify for special education services under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. This third category is deaf blindness, and my information for this again comes from the Idaho Special Education Manual. Again, each state has very similar criteria. There might be some small variances, but for the most part, they are very similar. Under this category, a child must have a diagnosis of a visual impairment from either an ophthalmologist or an optometrist, and a diagnosis of a hearing impairment from an audiologist, an otologist, or a physician who specializes in hearing. If both diagnoses are present, the team would meet together and they would talk about what information is already there and what information do they need to continue to gather and what they're looking for to determine if they should use this category versus vision impairment or hearing impairment separately is just, can the child's needs be met through just providing accommodations and specially designed instruction in just one area. If they can just provide hearing accommodations and specially designed instruction, and the child at that point is able to be successful, then they would qualify under just the visual or just the hearing impairment. And the same goes in the other direction. If they can be successful with just those visual supports in accommodations and specially designed instruction, then the best category would be a visual impairment. But if both are needed, then the team would look at this category of deaf blindness. In order for a child to qualify for this category, after it has been determined that yes, there is a diagnosis in both areas, then the team would look at, well, what is the impact on their communication, their educational needs, and their developmental skills. For the most part, students who do have a diagnosis of a vision impairment and a hearing impairment, they are probably going to need some kind of accommodation to be successful throughout their schooling or throughout their school day, throughout their schooling. So they will most likely at least need a 504. But if the team can see that they need more than just accommodations to access and to make reasonable gains in their schooling, if they need some kind of specially designed instruction, again, in these areas of communication, in developmental skills, in educational skills, then the team would have evidence that yes, an individualized education plan or an IEP would be needed in order to support this child. Again, a child can have a diagnosis of both a visual impairment and a hearing impairment, but depending on the severity and their other skills, they might be able to function throughout the school day independently without any supports. If that's the case, then the team would acknowledge that this diagnosis is here, but if they don't have evidence of that need for accommodations and for specially designed instruction, then they would not have a 504 or an IEP. If they show that yes, they do need those accommodations to, again, access their environment, then there would be a need for a 504. But if they are showing that yes, they do need that specially designed instruction in order to make in order to make reasonable gains in their education, then they would need an IEP as well. I hope that this is helpful. If you have any additional information about deaf blindness, I invite you to leave that in the comments. If there are other topics that you would like to see covered or that you have questions about or people that you would like to see in future episodes, I invite you to leave that in comments as well. If this is helpful for you or you feel like it would be helpful for others, I invite you to like, subscribe, share this episode with others so that we can continue to get the word out there and provide this information to those that need it. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.